All right, today we're diving into something pretty revolutionary coming out of Aotearoa, or New Zealand. It's a brand new planning code that completely flips the script on how we build cities. The big idea? It treats nature not as some nice-to-have add-on, but as a core, non-negotiable piece of the city's machinery.
Yeah, just let that sink in for a moment. What if we engineered our green spaces with the same level of seriousness as, say, our power grid or our water supply? What if we started thinking about nature as a vital nutritional requirement for a healthy city?
Now, this isn't just some dreamy, hypothetical question. In Aotearoa, this very idea is being written directly into law. We're talking about making public health and climate resilience mandatory, hardwired requirements for any and all new development. It's a massive shift.
So, to really get why this is such a game changer, we first have to talk about the problem it's designed to fix. And that problem is what you might call the gray inertia of our cities. You know, the fact that so many of our urban spaces feel like they are designed for land speculators, not for the actual people, the families and communities who live there.
I think this quote just nails that feeling, doesn't it? That crushing exhaustion. It's the endless sprawl, the soul-destroying commutes, that feeling that our neighborhoods are just random collections of buildings instead of vibrant, living communities. It's a real breakdown in the system, and it leads to this chaotic, poorly serviced development we see everywhere.
Okay, so what's the fix? Well, it's called the Aotearoa Planning Bill 2025. And you've got to understand, this isn't just another layer of red tape. Think of it more like a complete operating system upgrade for how we build and manage our cities from the ground up.
And it takes a lot of its inspiration from Japan's really successful land use model. Essentially, it scraps, get this, over 1,175 different fragmented local zones. Just gone, and in their place, a single universal code. It's all built on clear mathematical standards, so we're moving away from subjective, behind-the-scenes negotiations to clear, objective rules for everyone.
One of the core ideas here is this concept of the hydraulic city. It's a brilliant metaphor, really. To stop that relentless, leaky faucet of urban sprawl, the bill creates a hard boundary. They call it an urban dam. So all new growth, all public investment gets channeled inside this dam into what's called a reservoir. And everything outside that dam, that's a control area specifically protected from land speculation.
Right. Now we get to the absolute heart of this new operating system. And it's a really simple but incredibly powerful public health mandate. It basically reclassifies nature. It stops it from being just some optional decoration and turns it into an essential, engineered green utility.
And here's the kicker. This isn't some loose guideline. It's completely non-negotiable. This rule, the 330-300 rule, becomes the core metric for urban health. And it's mandatory. We're talking mandatory in almost every zone, including industrial areas and along transit corridors. No exceptions.
So, what is this 330-300 rule? Let's break it down, piece by piece, starting with that first number, 3.
Okay, part 1. The rule says that from every single home, every school, and every workplace, you have to be able to look out a window and see at least 3 mature trees. Simple, right? But it's treated as a public health requirement. The whole idea is to provide what's called mental micro-restoration, just weaving that little bit of nature into our daily line of sight.
All right, next up is the 30 part of the rule. Let's look at the 30%.
So now we're zooming out from a single window to the whole neighborhood. Every single neighborhood has to have a minimum of 30% tree canopy cover. And look, this isn't just about making the streets look pretty. This is serious engineering. It's a critical tool for cooling the city, fighting that urban heat island effect, and literally filtering pollution out of the air we breathe.
And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the 300 meters.
This last part is all about access. Every resident, no exceptions, must be within a 300-meter walk of a high-quality park or green space. And here's the crucial detail. That distance isn't measured in a straight line on a map, as the crow flies. No, it's measured along the actual footpath you'd take, which guarantees genuine, barrier-free access for everyone.
Okay, but you might be thinking, how on earth do you get a 30% tree canopy to actually survive in a dense city full of concrete and asphalt? Well, the code has a really clever engineering mandate for that. It's called connected soil volumes. Basically, these are underground lattices or trenches that let tree roots spread out and connect with each other so they can actually thrive instead of being slowly choked to death in what are basically tiny concrete coffins.
So, with all those rules in place, what does this look like on an actual blueprint?
Let's take a peek at how the parks themselves are being totally reimagined as pieces of high-performance biological infrastructure.
The whole framework uses what's called a green toolkit, which operates at 3 different scales. You've got your small spaces, think micro-interventions like green roofs. Then you've got your large spaces, which are major ecological assets like an urban forest. But the real workhorse of this whole system, the one that does the heavy lifting, is the medium-sized space.
So yeah, let's focus in on the blueprint for that medium park. It's designed to be the walkable heart of a neighborhood, a place they call a sponge city sanctuary. And it's the bit that really does the hard yards for a community's overall health and well-being.
So if we look at the master plan, what are the key features? Well, first, they're designed to be the community's third place. You know, not home, not work, but that essential third place, a kind of shared living room for everyone. Access has to be universal, following what's called an 8-to-80 design standard. That just means it's got to be safe and accessible for an 8-year-old on their own and for an 80-year-old and everyone in between. And of course, underneath it all, they're engineered with those connected soil volumes we talked about to make sure those big, beautiful trees can actually grow and hit that canopy target.
All right, so this all sounds great, but what's the payoff? Let's talk about the return on investment, because it turns out that engineering your city with nature isn't just nice, it's fiscally brilliant.
And this table just lays it out. The difference is pretty stark. Your traditional gray infrastructure, think concrete pipes and pumps, it depreciates over time and costs an absolute fortune to maintain. But this green utility approach, this sponge city system, it actually saves you 50% on those pipe costs right from the start. So while the gray stuff is a long-term liability, trees literally become appreciating assets. They deliver a 1 to 3 financial return on investment.
But honestly, the most jaw-dropping number here is the social return on investment. Check this out. For every single dollar invested in this green utility, the community gets a whopping $18 back in value. And that's driven by huge savings in healthcare costs and all the economic benefits that come from people walking and cycling more. Ultimately, this entire approach just reframes how we think about urban design, doesn't it? It's asking us to stop treating the city like a cold, hard machine and start seeing it for what it is, a living organism. And if a city really is alive, then shouldn't we be obsessing over its nutritional requirements? It's a great question to leave you with.